Hey everyone, Jalon here. I just took and I passed the AI Practitioner exam, and just like with the Cloud Practitioner exam, I wanted to give you all some insights and tips into my experience so you can all leverage that and possibly get the certification yourselves if you're interested. So on my last video, the Cloud Practitioner video, I did get a lot of comments, whether in person or on the video or in my DMs about why am I taking these tests and why am I making videos on them, which is understandable because not everyone is in technology. They may not come from a tech background. So I just wanted to be clear on this. Certifications help you break into tech. It's really hard to get a tech job right now, especially if you're entry level. Networking, projects, certifications, this will all help you if you don't have any experience. You need to leverage all three. You should be networking, going to tech events, connecting with people on LinkedIn. You should be doing tech-related projects, and you should also be getting certifications. Because if you go into an interview and one person has certifications and you don't, they're probably going to go with the person with certifications because they're going to be seen as a stronger applicant. Certifications also help you perform better in your existing role if you already have a tech job. If I were to restart from my first day on my job, I probably would have gotten a related certification in the tech stack that I'm currently working on. I do feel like it's the knowledge that it gives you is really going to help you, especially when you're early in your career. You're laying the fundamentals, especially if you're straight from college. You don't really know a lot about industry tools and proper practices. So I think it's really good to get certifications early on to help you with your job. Also, tech is just a great career path overall. I'm sure that's not a secret, and I want my circle, you guys, to also be happy and satisfied in your jobs. So some stats, my score is 777. The passing score is a 1000, so I did do a little bit worse on this exam than I did on the Cloud Practitioner, and I do feel like this exam was a little bit harder, but I feel like that's also because of my background, right? I'm from the software side. I'm not a data engineer. If I came from a data engineering background, this test probably wouldn't have seemed as hard for me. Some of the resources I used were Stefan Mark's AI Practitioner course. I also used his practice tests and the AWS official exam guide. The AWS official exam guide is really important because everything on that exam guide is going to actually be on the test. So if you've ever been in college and you've taken a test after studying for it and you realize, oh wow, like what I studied for is not on the exam, you're not going to have to worry about that. AWS is really good with making sure that whatever's on that study guide, you're going to see it on the actual exam. So on my practice tests, my scores were 69, 80, 80, and 78, and on the actual exam I think I got about 79, 80, so my scores on the practice test were pretty consistent with what actually happened on the exam. The length of time that I took to study for this exam was 3 weeks. I studied from April 30th to May 24th. So, yep, it didn't take that long. I'm sure AWS Solutions Architect is going to take me a couple months. But yeah, this is a foundational exam just like Cloud Practitioner. So, it's not supposed to be a really deep exam. As for how I studied, I took type notes watching Stefan Mark's Udemy course. That just helps me retain the information. I also took Stefan's practice test, and every single question that I got wrong on his practice test, there's a little explanation whenever you get a question wrong, if you do it in Udemy's practice test version, and it will tell you the correct answer. It'll take you to a link, AWS white pages, and I used that a lot to study the concepts that I didn't really understand. I also used the official AWS AI Practitioner study guide. I chat GPT'd some of the concepts on the study guide. Udemy has its own AI chatbot that you can just kind of ask questions, and it's an AI trained specifically on the information in the video, so that's really helpful. I went bullet by bullet point on that study guide, and everything that I didn't understand, I wrote notes underneath. So I probably should have done that first because it doesn't really make as much sense to just take a practice test over and over and fail it because you don't really know the material that well, but that's just kind of how I went about it for some reason. Some of the first impressions, it's harder. Once again, I feel like that's also because of my background. Large language models, AI, it's all math. It's all math based. I'm software engineering. I don't really use a lot of heavy math. Data engineering is a lot different. So your background is going to determine how hard this exam may be. So also some important things that I learned. First, there was nothing on the exam that wasn't on the study guide. taking the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam did help me with this exam. There are some foundational cloud concepts that are going to be expected for you to know, and like, for example, like VPCs or EC2 instances, things like that. You should already know coming into the exam. If you don't have Cloud Practitioner, that's okay. You can still pass the exam, but it is helpful to have Cloud Practitioner first before you go into AI Practitioner. Also, the wording on the questions did confuse me more than the topics themselves. I don't think there was a single question that I got where I looked at it and I had no idea what it was. It was more so the question was worded in a way that confused me, and because of that, I think I flagged about 8 out of 64 questions. And yeah, the questions, they weren't necessarily hard questions, but I think a big benefit of taking practice tests is that you get used to that wording. Whenever the test tries to trip you up, it just helps you. Your prior experience will help you. Once again, if you come from a data engineering background, it's going to help you with this exam. So if I studied for this exam again, I would start with the official AWS study guide. Just go through it bullet by bullet. Whatever you don't understand, you can chat GPT it, look it up. It's going to help you instead of just taking the practice test and getting frustrated whenever you get questions repeatedly wrong. Yeah, so that's a good way. Also, I would do more hands-on activities with the services. You're going to be learning a lot of AI-related services, and it's going to help much more if you've actually worked with them, because seeing a service in a sentence and actually using the service are two entirely different levels of information. For AWS Solutions Architect, I'm definitely going to do a lot more projects, a lot more hands-on activities, because with this certification, I didn't really use a lot of hands-on AWS services. Mostly because I already used Bedrock a little bit on my job, and I felt like I could take and pass the exam without doing that. But Solutions Architect, that's going to be a lot harder, so I'm not going to go about it in the same way. So yeah, if you want a better score than 777, definitely practice with the services that AWS provides. What should you do after getting this exam? So it really depends on your career path, right? If you want to be a data engineer, there's a little section in the AWS website when you try to sign up for the AI Practitioner exam that says, if you want to pursue a career in data or AI, go for Data Engineer Associate Certificate or the Machine Learning Engineer Associate Certification. So if you want to get into data, which is a great field, by the way, that's the certification path that you should be trying out. As for me, I'm going down the cloud route, so Solutions Architect is going to be next for me, and yeah, I hear that that's pretty difficult, so I'm definitely going to probably take probably a couple months to study for that one. So that's my experience taking the AI Practitioner exam. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or DM me. My Instagram is going to be in the description, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.